Hello and welcome to Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research with tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. This week, Funereal biscuits. As I was watching older seasons of the Great British Bake Off, I learned of a custom I hope Magi emulate, the sending of funereal biscuits. We know little of the funerals of Magi. Tremare practice cremation, then pour your ashes into a hole that leads to twilight. Cream and Magi sometimes kill themselves or fade from reality without leaving a corpse. Yarberton Magi often have Christian burial. Flambeau Magi have vast pyres lit communally by their housemates. The Mercure look after their family, but exactly how we're not sure. The Arc Magi have, in older editions, a surprising custom of putting all their corpses together in what I imagine is possibly the highest concentration of potential trouble outside of pandemonium. What happens when a conventional magus dies? We don't know. We assume their covenants have individual customs. If you're a busy story guide and don't want to invent such customs, steal this one. The lower middle class of Britain in the Victorian period spent a heap on funerals, and one of the big expenses was hand-delivering the invitations. The person who did this was called a bidder. I like to imagine there's a red cap who does just this job, but it's likely too big for one person. I imagine they have a mourning uniform. I imagine they don't just yell their name to the door guards at each covenant, but have some ceremonial way of declaring their arrival. I'd like to suggest a call from a Roman tuba or cornu, despite how troublesome its size would make it to carry. Perhaps instead the tolling of a low bell. As a story idea, what happens when fairies or demons impersonate a bidder to wangle an invitation into the Aegeus? Leaving that aside, I'd suggest that bidders carry an ossulla, a sort of death mask or portrait sculpture. The order repeats names a great deal, and there must have been some sort of embarrassing incident at some point when people could not quite place which Justina Aguernicus had just died. Funeral masks have all kinds of odd histories in Europe, and there's one I've been trying to work up for Ars Magica for some time. In some Roman funerals of high status, an actor wearing a mask would impersonate the deceased, riding as them in procession with the body, and even attending the feast after the funeral. This person was called the Archimimos, which just means head actor. I've been interested in masks as magical items for a while now, and think that via the Archimimi and the death masks, we can link classical theatre mask magic to Titulusian personae magic, remembering that the teacher of Titulus was the Archnecromantrix Gorno the Feted. I haven't used a lot of chthonic magic in my games, but there's something there about allowing the body to be possessed by an outside force while the mask is worn. In the Victorian period, the bidder would not just pass the invitation on, but a package of 2 shortbread biscuits, into which had been stamped a suitable design. Given the ease with which Magi can manufacture things and their relative wealth, this might be the sigil of the Magus. The biscuits were wrapped in paper printed with suitable moral lessons and sealed with black wax. In the order's case, paper is known, but cloth might be easier in some circumstances. The paper may merely give the eulogy of the Magus, so it records an epitaph. There are, however, other possibilities. A Magus who is very well off could prepare for their funeral and arrange for something valuable to wrap around each of the biscuits. A Titulus might put clues to a challenge, or a map to a treasure. A Bonasagus might include a piece of original research she had yet to integrate. A famous magician might hand out individual pages of a new branch of the arts, so that people need to gather them together. A Yarberton might have beautiful poems or works of art. A Veditus might make each a single-use magic item, which provides some interesting effect. The Veditus might similarly invest the biscuits themselves. Even something as simple as a will might create stories. Characters may seek political support to have it overturned, or need to negotiate with heirs for resources promised them by the dead Magus. A will that gives unexpectedly large amounts of any resource may flood the market or provide opportunities. Beyond the invitation biscuits, there's the travel to the funeral and the Magi to meet there. This could be where a covenant is formed. A gathering of heirs, considering what to do with their benefactor's resources, may choose to give them to the next generation to seed a spring covenant. In the strangest of the blog's links, we will return to biscuits next month, complete with our first recipe. But before then, we have a plague of visiting mites, lioness, and the dread pirate shard to get through. See you next week.